Patriots of Era. This week we see James, a Kerryman, has been left with no choice but to protest outside the Dublin offices of Pepper Finance and their solicitors Eversheds Sutherlands after repeated refusals to engage with James about the repossession of his family home. When contacted directly for a comment, Pepper Finance hung up the phone, refusing to issue a statement or show even a slightest willingness to address the human costs of their actions. James has vowed, though, that he will not return home to Kerry until Pepper Finance and their solicitors face him honestly and fairly. He says that he's been wronged not only by Pepper but also by the legal machinery surrounding the process, including solicitors and the sheriff. Exhausted but determined, James now is exhausting every avenue in pursuit of justice. And he's also asked for a subject data request under the General Data Protection Act. Any person with a bank account can ask any bank for a subject data access request into any of the accounts, and he's asked Pepper now to furnish him with a copy of this, and he's also asked a parallel bank who sold the loan on to Pepper Finance. He's also asked them for a data protection disclosure, a data access request. So he's entitled to this under GDPR, and they have to respond within 1 month. So folks, if any of you are having any problems with Pepper Finance or any bank or financial institution in this country, contact them, send them a registered letter and demand a data access request. Pepper Finance, I believe they have an office in Shannon and in Hatch Street in Dublin, and if you ring them you can get their email from them as well. But this is shocking to think that look, this is no longer, folks, about account numbers on a balance sheet. It's about dignity, accountability and justice, and a family home is involved here. So Pepper now need to do the decent thing and speak to James, or else he'll stay protesting outside their offices until he gets answers. Look, we see there now that schools, secretaries and caretakers across the country are preparing to take the heartbreaking step of strike action later this month, today week, I believe, when most of the schools are back. It's a move timed with the return of children after the summer holidays. This action is led by trade union Forza and comes after years of being treated as second-class citizens in the education system. These frontline workers, the people who open and close our schools, keep them safe and act as the backbone of daily schooling life, are folks being denied the basic entitlements their colleagues take for granted: their pensions, their sick pay and even bereavement leave. David Hearn, chair of Forza School Caretaker Branch, says staff feel utterly abandoned. He said, it would absolutely kill me to have to leave the school because it's such a nice place to work. The staff are amazing. It's a joy to get up in the morning and go to work. But we've been left, he said, with no option. He said, I've only €40 of discretionary income each week. I can't afford to pay into a private pension. So what does that mean for his future? Look, folks, behind every caretaker and secretary is a human story of quite a struggle. Many of them have given 15 or even 20 years of service, but are still being paid just €13 an hour, barely above the minimum wage. One caretaker, nearly 2 decades into his role, still only earns €13.50 an hour. Others, like Hearn and are newly married, are trying to keep up with their mortgage, rising costs, but constantly worried about what happens if they get sick, lose a loved one, or face retirement with nothing to fall back on. Look, they love their children, they love their schools, but how can they go on like this, folk? And, you know, the Department of Education now were sent a notice back in June, I believe, and they have still been silenced since that, and they haven't come near them. So the strike is to begin today week on Thursday, August the 28th, with a rally outside the Department of Education on Merrion Street. If no agreement is reached, pickets will be placed on schools nationwide from September the 1st, meaning thousands of our children may not return to classrooms as planned. Labour spokesperson on workers' rights, Senator Nessa Cosgrove, warned that she struggled to see how schools can safely and effectively open without these essential workers. If the strike goes ahead, she said, the responsibility lies solely with the government. These people deserve fair treatment and deserve it now. For the secretaries and the caretakers, strike action is the last resort. But folks, they don't want to disrupt the children's education, but they don't want to walk away from their jobs and communities they cherish. But after years of empty promises, they feel it's inevitable and they'll be given no choice. All they're asking for, folks, is fairness, to be treated with the same dignity and security as their colleagues in the education. Look, they're not looking, folks, for luxuries. They're looking for a future. And, you know, Minister Helen McEntee now needs to address this immediately and prevent this from strike from happening, because, you know, our kids' education future is at stake here. And just, would they not just pay the secretaries and the caretakers what they're rightfully due? Because this, I believe, is going to turn into a nightmare now for the government, and it's going to cause chaos if every school is going to be picketed outside their school gates. And you know, the government now have made such a mess of the Department of Education under now Helen McEntee's leadership, I believe. And also we can only thank Norma Foley, the former Minister for Education, for you know, turning a blind eye to the carers and the secretaries, the backbone of our educational system. Gora Míle Maith Agaibh.